Usyk versus Fury 2 is just a few hours away, so I want to start there. I'm going to go with Tyson Fury on the money line at plus 120 on DraftKings, and you can also get that on FanDuel at plus 116 if that's where you prefer to bet. Welcome back to the 4Bs, where we discuss boxing, betting the B-side, and other BS. My name is Percy, and if you don't want to miss any picks for upcoming fights, please make sure to subscribe and tell a friend. So to go further into that fight, when we were going to the very first fight, you were looking at two heavyweights, the top two in the game. Definitely a quality fight that you were expecting to see. Tyson Fury was the favorite in that fight. A lot of that was due to him being the naturally bigger man, and he still is, of course, the naturally bigger man. At the weigh-in, I believe he outweighed him by over 50 pounds, but then you have to take into account the clothing and everything too. I think there was a little bit of gamesmanship going on with that too as well. Tyson Fury never took off his jacket. I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually in better shape than he's letting on to. In that first fight, Tyson Fury looked like he was winning the fight and was going to cruise to a pretty easy victory at one point. And I had Usyk in that fight, so I was a little bit concerned with my bet on that one. But then things changed. Usyk took control and was able to win the fight on the cards. I think this time around we're gonna go with the bigger man again to make up for the mistakes he made the first time around and take this fight the distance and win by points or decision. If you want to get really tricky, then you can also go and pick a specific method of victory, which I've cautioned against doing. If you want to go with a decision by majority decision, that's plus 2,900 on FanDuel versus plus 2,200 on DraftKings. I might put a little bit on that, but I'm not counting on that. What I really want to count on is him to win by decision. And if we're looking at the win by decision, DraftKings actually offers a little bit better odds at plus 350 versus FanDuel's plus 330. To get into some of the undercard fights, let's go from the lower undercards and work our way up a little bit, just in case you guys are in a time crunch. So we have a fight between Peter McGrail, goes by Blood, versus Rhys Edwards, one of two guys on the fight card who goes by the nickname Lightning, I believe. Rhys Edwards has stepped in 5 days ago to take up this fight after McGrail's original opponent failed a drug test. He's put in at a money line of plus 370 to win, this being Rhys Edwards, on FanDuel, and plus 350 on DraftKings, and also to win by points at plus 600 on FanDuel and plus 550 on DraftKings. I am going to side with Rhys Edwards on this one because he's the naturally bigger man, and if you look at McGrail's fights, he's been coming into fights at about 121, 122, and this fight is closer to 130. Rhys Edwards has the advantage being that that's more in his wheelhouse in terms of weight for a fight, and I think that he's got a legitimate shot of winning this fight. If we go on to another of the undercards, we have Moses Itauma, who's a highly touted heavyweight prospect, and he's going to be fighting against another heavyweight from Australia named Demsey McKean. McKean hasn't fought for roughly a year, but his last fight was a loss to Filip Hrgovic, and it was a well-contested fight. From what I saw in the weigh-in, this is the thing that concerns me. Itauma looked like he was out of shape. He was 10 pounds heavier than he has fought in his previous two fights, including one that was just 4 months ago. And even earlier in the year, he fought at like 242, and now he's at like 249. He didn't look like he was in the greatest of shape. He's 19 years old. Maybe things have gotten to him. Maybe he's believing the hype. And this is not the guy he wants to be fighting if he's not fully committed to preparing for this fight. I would go with Demsey McKean, and you can find him on DraftKings for plus 850, which is a lot better than on FanDuel at plus 720. Okay, now here's a fight that I really am interested in seeing. This is Serhii Bohachuk versus Ishmael Davis. This should have been Serhii Bohachuk versus Israel Madrimov, but Madrimov had bronchitis, and Ishmael Davis stepped in as a late replacement. Unlike in the case where Rhys Edwards is the late replacement, in this one, I do not think that Ishmael Davis is going to fare very well against Bohachuk. If you look at what Ishmael Davis does in his fights, you'll notice that he opens himself up way too much when he's on the attack, and even when he's not on the attack, he gets touched way too easily. I don't think that matches up very well with Bohachuk. Bohachuk is the kind of guy who will break people down and hurt them. He has a lot of power. It's not the kind of thing where he's just going to knock someone out in one punch. So I think you have a lot of room here for certain prop bets. One that's offered on DraftKings is Bohachuk to win and for there to be more than 1.5 knockdowns. That's offered at minus 110. So if you wanted to throw something on that, I think that's a pretty safe play. Other things, Bohachuk to win by KO or TKO, that should happen. I don't see this going to the distance. But that only offers you on DraftKings at minus 360 and a better line on FanDuel at minus 310. So that's more of like a parlay piece if you want to do that. What I would say that you could do is pick a a specific like alternate rounds thing with this. The rounds I like the best would be rounds 4 through 6 and 7 through 9. If you wanted to go with the 4 through 6, which I actually think is the more likely one here, you can get that on FanDuel at plus 350, whereas DraftKings is plus 300. And if you wanted to also put in some on the rounds 7 through 9, it's actually better on DraftKings at plus 240 versus FanDuel where it's plus 220. So those are the fights that I'm looking at to put something on today. Regardless of how they come out, I hope you guys do well on your bets. At the very end, I hope we do get to see some great matchups in the card today. There aren't that many big names on this one, but I think we've got some good matchups, some of which where I wanted to look at trying to take the underdog, didn't like what I saw, so I've only given you the ones that I thought really stand a chance on it. Good luck today.